Hey guys, so here we are, still a little bit quarantined, still trying to get used to this new normal. I know I have a lot of students out there that hopefully are painting, but maybe since I'm not there to guide a little bit, are a little frustrated with their color mixing. And even though I've talked about this to them in the past, maybe they've forgotten a few things. And then maybe there are some of you out there who have never really thought about the importance of a limited palette. I know when I was in college we talked about limited palettes, and to me it was frustrating and limiting. But I want to show you today how a limited palette is anything but limited. And by taking just a warm and cool of the primaries, we can create everything else we need. So, first of all, I'll admit, I don't always paint with a limited palette. If you look at my normal palette here, you can see there are more than just a few colors on there. The thing is, I understand all of these colors frontwards, backwards, sideways. I have been working at this for a long time. Now, I can take these 6 colors in white and get everything you just saw on that other palette. The extras that I have on there, I call them gravy, because they are things that either colors that I use in abundance that I need to have instead of just mixing them every time. Even, I will admit, even when I go out with my limited palette, if I'm plein air painting, I do take a couple of earth tones. I have burnt sienna and I have yellow ochre on my palette. But I want to show you that actually I don't even have to have those. I can get them from this group of colors. So let me go over what colors I have out today. First of all, I have titanium white. That's just a given, anytime, any place. I have a warm and a cool of each yellow, red, and blue. And I know even you're looking at that and you're thinking, well, that's a green, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So first of all, let me kind of go over what I'm talking about warm and cool. You can break warm and cool down into a very simplified explanation. Warm colors make you think of fire and sunshine. Reds, yellows, oranges. Cool colors make you think of water. Greens, blues, purples. Cool colors push things back, help them recede. Warm colors bring things forward, help them to look closer to you. Now it gets a little bit more complicated when you take those and find warm and cools within the warm and cool. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So here I have cadmium lemon and cad yellow medium. These are actually gambling colors. And if you don't have cad lemon, because you can only get cad lemon and gambling in artist grade, but if you're using like a 1980 student grade paint, you can use cad yellow light or Hansa yellow. So if you look at these two yellows, you'll notice that one yellow leans a little bit toward orange or red. One yellow leans a little bit more toward green or blue. So this is my cool yellow here, the cadmium lemon, and this is my warm yellow here, the cad yellow medium. Let's go to the reds. So it's a little more obvious here. Cad red light definitely has more of a yellow orangier color, a warmer color. Alizarin crimson leans more toward blue, obvious. Look at that dark, deep color there. So that cools it down. Okay. My blue family up here, I have ultramarine blue, which is going to be my cool blue. And then I have phthalo green. Yeah, it's green. It's not blue. But you'll see as I lighten it, I'm going to use it more like a warm blue. So if we look over here at my color wheel, again, some of this is very simplified to many of you. We have primaries. Red, yellow, blue, right? We have secondaries, green, purple, orange. How do you get the secondaries? You mix 2 of the primaries, and we're going to do that in just a second. Another very, very, very important thing when you're mixing color, I'm working in oils today, but this applies to any color. Pastels, watercolors, acrylics, whatever you're using. there's a group of colors that are called complementary colors. Now, complementary colors have two different meanings. If you're side by side, they make each other brighter. So if you put one against the other, they'll make each other brighter. But the definition we're going to use the most is if you mix complements together, they mute or dull each other. So what are the complements? We have three main families. Complements are opposites on the color wheel. So purple and yellow, orange and blue, red and green. Okay? So just know, if your yellow needs to tone down, maybe get a little browner, you can put a little purple in there. Blue and orange are anything in those families you can put together and push toward grays. All of these will lean toward grays if you mix them enough. Need a maroon and you have a lighter red, you can take a darker green into that lighter red and get a form of maroon. It's all recipes. And so when you looked at my palette at the beginning and you saw all those colors, it's a lot harder to figure out 14 colors than it is to figure out 6. I used to teach my students with all 14. I have a colorist background. I studied with a student who studied with Henry Hinchy for years. I love color. But teaching students and learning the basics of color mixing, let's start small. And then as you figure these out, you can add some colors, trial and error. But your paintings will have more harmony the more that you can keep that palette of colors a little bit smaller. So let's talk about some mixing.
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, we only have primaries out here. Now, like I said, I know that's a green, but I never ever use that green as a green in a landscape. I may use it in a mixture for a green in a landscape, but it's way too artificial to use as a natural green without some additive. So I'm going to start off my mixtures by coming up with my secondary colors. Now, so the first thing I'm going to come up with the orange. As I'm choosing which reds, if I want just a basic orange, I've got to keep in mind warms and cools and the complements we talked about. So if I'm looking for what's going to give me the best basic orange, do I want to choose a primary color that has a blue base to it? Remember, blue and orange are complements, they mute each other. Or do I want to choose a primary that has an orange base to it? I'm making orange, right? So, yes, the ones that are blue based will make orange, but it's going to be a little bit duller orange. If we want just a basic orange, I'm going to go with the Cad Yellow Light and the Cad Red Light because they already lean toward orange. Now I'm doing all my mixing with a knife today to keep my color pure. Basic orange. Okay? Gonna leave that there. I'm gonna come up with a purple. So I'm gonna ask myself the same question. As I choose a red and a blue for purple, we're thinking about this old green over here as a blue, and I'll show you in a minute why. But am I going to lean with something toward green that's got yellow in it? Purple and yellow are complements. Or a red that has a yellow base? Purple and yellow are complements, they'll meet each other. Or I'm going to lean toward two that already have a cool purpley tone to them. And that's kind of understandable. So I'm going to grab a little of the alizarin crimson and a little of my ultramarine blue to get my purple mixture. Now, I know that looks really dark up there. Watch what happens when I pull a little bit of white into it. A little more purple. I go even tint it down a little bit more. A little more purple. And I recommend you do these color charts. So this is a color chart. Now it's not as neat and blocked out as some people's color charts are, but I believe in color charts. And what that is, This is a color chart with my limited palette for cadmium lemon. I have taken pure cadmium lemon and tinted it down with white so I can see just what yellows I get with cadmium lemon. Then I have mixed it, about 70% cadmium lemons, 30% other color, all the way across with each. This is with cad yellow medium, this is with the cad red light, this is with the alizarin crimson, this is with the phthalo green, and this is with the ultramarine blue. So those are my mixtures and those are my tints down, just to see what color combinations I can get. I recommend doing this with every color on your palette so that you truly learn what your colors can do. Okay, so we have our orange, we have our purple. What about our green? Now, I said in the earlier part that we are using phthalo green as a blue. So do you see when I add white, it becomes almost a turquoisey blue. I use this color a lot in skies. You can add a little touch of the ultramarine blue to it and get really close to a cerulean blue if you don't have that tube with you, which is kind of a turquoise color. Okay? As far as mixing greens, I'm a big mixer of greens because I'm a landscape painter. So it depends on the green you want. If you want just a basic out of the color box grass green, I'm going to go with the ultramarine blue and the cad lemon. And you just have to play with your ratio till you get exactly what you want. So there's a good basic green. Now, if I want that a little darker and duller, I'm going to pull a complement into it. Red is a complement to green. I want it darker, so I'm using a darker red. Add a little more until I get exactly what I want. And I've got kind of a dark mossy green, almost toward brown. If I want just an electric lime green, I can go to my cad lemon and I can use a little bit of the phthalo green. And a little bit goes a long way. But look at that. I mean, that is knock your socks off green. You can brighten it up even more if you wanted to. So here we have some basic primaries. Okay? Talked about yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Normally, yes, I would have them out. But what if I get out in the field and I forgot it that day? I actually keep a box prepared in my backpack that I take out with me that only has a limited palette in it, so it's kind of a grab and go box. But say I didn't have my earth tones. I have to think a little bit on this one. So burnt sienna is a rusty color brown. So here's a little bit out of the tube. It's going to look about like that. Okay, so when I look at that, I'm thinking, okay, so it's reddish brown, but it does have a little bit of orangey yellow in there too. So I'm going to think, what if I started with my cad yellow, medium. Let's dull it with a little of the purple I mixed up. Purple and yellow are complements, remember? Okay, so I've got a brown, but it's not quite as orange as what I'm looking for. What if I pull a little of my orange in there? Pretty close. Okay, I could play with that mixture more and even get it closer if I wanted, but you get the idea. Yellow ochre is more of a mustardy color. Most of you are familiar with it if you do anything in art. It's kind of a staple. But here's yellow ochre out of the tube. So I gotta think again. Dull yellow, dull yellow. Let's go back to my cad yellow medium again. And I'm gonna go back to that purple mixture, but take a little less purple than I did when I was trying to get the burnt sienna. And I'm not really gonna add the orange this time. Pretty close, right? Now, the one thing that you won't ever see on my palette is black. Does that mean I don't use black? No. There's so many variations of black out there that I prefer to mix my own. So, I'm going to think primary colors again, because if you take dark versions of all your primaries, you're going to get black in some form or another. So that's what happens if we take a little bit of ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and some of my phthalo green. Let's see what our mixture looks like there. I'll be honest, my best and favorite way to mix black is I use burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. But what if I didn't get out with it that day? So I've taken these three and ta-da, there's my black. So I hope this helps you try to experiment with a limited palette. Go out and paint a landscape with it. Challenge yourself. Set up a still life. We got a lot of time on our hands, but if you're stuck inside, you can paint anything. Use this. It'll help you think. It'll help you learn even colors that are not on your palettes. When you add new ones, you will see, oh, okay, that'll do this. So I challenge you to try it. Hope this helps. Keep painting.